8 units already at the scene, mostly police vehicles and 2 quiet ambulances. Officers had the property taped off all the way through the end of the block as early risers stretched their necks over the fence lines. The air was still cold as I readied myself to begin another morning in my paper suit. It had been an hour since the original 911 call. The report stated that a James Sandoval, pastor at First Desert Light Church, was on his way to the crime scene with a suspected perpetrator in the back of his vehicle. The suspect was a teenager, a Jude Montano, the oldest son of Stephen Montano, a retired Albuquerque PD detective. Jude had come to the church in the middle of the night, still holding a gun, blood spatter on his face. When Pastor Sandoval approached him, he raised the gun to the pastor's face and pulled the trigger. Luckily, there were no bullets in the gun. Pastor Sandoval called the police and drove with Jude straight to the boy's house, where they found every single member of his family dead from gunshot wounds. 3 girls, aged 3, 7, and 14, 3 boys, 5, 8, and 10, and both parents, Stephen and Elizabeth Montano, both 43. Jude Montano sat in the back seat of the patrol car, staring at me through the window as I pulled up. His back shook with every breath, and tears rolled down his cheeks. He stopped crying when he saw my arm rise. I was pulled toward the house like a pendulum. I wondered if he could see her too. The little hand pulled harder as I walked toward the crime scene. I looked down to see her bruises, the gunpowder freckles on her cheeks, the hole in her face like a honeysuckle bloom. Her mouth was bloody and swirled with white that leaked from both sides of her lips. "I knew you would come," she said. "Can you play with us?" All the dead children were outside on the playscape in their pajamas, cavernous wounds in their backs and heads. I watched them chase one another up and down the slides while the oldest stared at the people passing in and out of their doorway. She turned her eyes on me, her expression one of anger, of finality. I think she was the only one who wasn't confused about what happened. The little girl never left me as I stepped onto the crime scene. Her siblings ran up and surrounded us, their voices unaware, a strange echo still giddy with childhood. The smallest one cried, raising her hands to me, wanting me to pick her up. "Come play with us." A boy pointed to their yard, scattered with dolls and toys. I looked toward the door where the techs were assembling. A few officers stared at me, as they often do. I pulled away from the children. "Rita, over here." Samuel stood by a man with a graying beard. Sandoval, the pastor. The air was cold, the sun still behind the mountains. Rita Todacheene, photo specialist. I extended my hand, and Pastor Sandoval took it, never saying a word. Samuels motioned to the responding officer, the first on scene, a senior investigator named Louis Giovanni, to join us. He was already making his report, checking the temperature and calculating the times. He read out what he had already taken down as I loaded my camera. Giovanni was brand new to APD after 4 years in Minneapolis and another 5 in Los Angeles. He had come to Albuquerque to replace Sergeant Severs, who had finally retired and moved to California to be with her grandbabies. I liked Giovanni because he was committed, and he wore horn-rimmed glasses. There was a mad scientist buried in him somewhere. He was very tall, quiet, and reserved, but always seemed to know what questions to ask on scene and how to leave no stone unturned. That was how Severs used to be. They had found someone who was almost her equal. Giovanni wasn't privy to my special radar. Samuel still